Welcome to the first episode of Mayhem CEDH, where questionable decks meet questionable pilots. For this first episode, we wanted to check out some of the new Neon Dynasty commanders. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, you might notice one commander is, well, technically Kamigawa. With that being said, let's check out the pod today. In this pod, we have Craft on Shorikai Scepter Control, which seeks to control the board, accrue value with its commander, and win the game with a combo finish. Noah on Hinata Requiem of Dawn, which seeks to use its commander's ability with big X spells and close the game with a Breach or Dual Caster combo. Aiden on Go-Shintai Omniscience, an enchantment-based stacks deck that uses its commander to cheat big enchantments from their graveyard to win through attrition. And finally, Cole on Orphan Azami, an established deck that controls the board and accrues value with Azami, combined with other wizards, and ends the game in a combo. And now, with each pilot in their respective corner of the screen, let us begin. Cole draws and plays a Teleria West into play tapped. He passes. Craft draws and plays a Flooded Strand. He cracks it, fetching up a Tundra onto the battlefield. He plays a Mox Diamond, pitching City of Brass. He plays a Chrome Mox, imprinting long-term plans. He taps his Chrome Mox to help cast Talisman of Progress. He casts a Dranith Magistrate. Craft passes. Noah draws and plays a Training Center. He passes. Aiden draws and plays a Polluted Delta. They crack it and fetch up a Tropical Island. They cast an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Aiden passes to Cole. Cole draws and plays a Gemstone Caverns. He casts a Felwar Stone. Cole passes. Craft draws and plays a Marsh Flats. He cracks it, fetching up a Hollowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life. He casts his commander, Shorikai, Genesis Engine. Craft moves to combat and attacks Aiden for 1. They take it, and Craft passes. Noah draws and plays a Volcanic Island for turn. He casts Arcane Signet. Noah passes. Aiden draws and plays an Exotic Orchard for turn. They cast Aura of Silence. It resolves, and Aiden passes. Cole draws and plays an Island for turn. He passes. At the end of Cole's turn, Craft taps and activates Shorikai, drawing 2, discarding 1, and creating a 1/1 pilot token. Craft draws and starts his turn by tapping 3 to cast an Esper Sentinel. It resolves, and Craft moves to combat, attacking Aiden for 2. Aiden takes it, and Craft passes. Noah draws and plays a Plains for turn. He taps 2 to cast Mox Diamond, pitching Rogrin Triome, not paying for Craft's Sentinel. He casts Imperial Recruiter. It enters, and Noah fetches up a Spellseeker into his hand. Noah passes the turn. Aiden draws and plays a Jeweled Lotus, not paying for Craft's Sentinel. They play a Badlands. They cast Stranglehold. It resolves, and Aiden passes the turn. Cole draws and plays a Cavern of Souls, naming Wizard. Cole passes. At the end of Cole's turn, Craft taps and activates Shorikai, drawing 2, discarding 1, and creating a 1/1 pilot token. Craft draws and plays a Minamo, School at Water's Edge. He moves to combat and attacks Aiden for 4. They take it, and in his second main phase, Craft casts Voltaic Key. Craft passes the turn. Noah draws and starts his turn by paying 3 to cast Soul Ring, not paying for Craft's Sentinel. He pays 4 for a Talisman of Creativity. Noah passes. Aiden draws and plays a Flooded Strand for turn. They crack it, fetching up a Savannah onto the battlefield. They cast a Felwar Stone, paying for Craft's Sentinel. They cast Diabolic Intent, sacrificing Avacyn's Pilgrim. In response, Cole casts Spell Pierce, countering Diabolic Intent, paying for Craft's Sentinel. Aiden passes the turn. Cole draws, takes no game actions, and passes. At the end of Cole's turn, Craft activates Shorikai, drawing 2, discarding 1, and creating a 1/1 pilot token. He activates Voltaic Key, targeting Shorikai. In response, Aiden sacrifices Aura of Silence, destroying Shorikai. The turn moves to Craft. Craft draws, plays an island, and casts Humility. In response, Cole casts Swan Song, paying for Craft's Sentinel. Swan Song counters Humility, and Craft creates a 2/2 bird. He moves to combat and attacks Cole for 5. Cole takes it, and in his second main phase, Craft casts Cursed Totem. In response, Cole hardcasts Fierce Guardianship, targeting Cursed Totem. In response, Craft casts Miscast, targeting Fierce Guardianship. In response, Cole pays 2 life to cast Mental Misstep, targeting Miscast. Mental Misstep counters Miscast, and Fierce Guardianship counters Cursed Totem. Craft passes. Noah draws and starts his turn by casting Cyclonic Rift, paying for Craft's Sentinel, targeting Dranith Magistrate. In response, Craft casts Force of Will, exiling Winds of Rebuke. In response, Noah casts Flusterstorm, with all copies targeting Force of Will. Force of Will is countered, and Dranith bounces to Craft's hand. Noah casts his commander, Hinata, Dawn Crowned. Noah passes. Aiden draws and plays a Plateau for turn. They cast Dovescape. paying for Craft's Sentinel. The table erupts, and Aiden passes. Cole draws and plays an island for turn. He casts his commander, Azami, Lady of Scrolls. He activates Azami, tapping her to draw a card. Cole passes. Craft draws and recasts Dranith Magistrate. He moves to combat and attacks Cole for 6. Cole takes it, and Craft passes the turn. Noah draws and casts an Esper Sentinel of his own. He moves to combat and attacks Aiden for 5. They take it, and Noah passes the turn. Aiden draws and casts an Esper Sentinel of their own. Aiden passes. Cole draws and plays an island for turn. He also passes. At the end of Cole's turn, Craft casts Swords to Plowshares, targeting Azami, paying for both Sentinels. Dovescape triggers, countering Swords to Plowshares, and Craft creates a 1/1 bird token. The turn then moves to Craft. Craft draws and immediately moves to combat. He attacks Cole for 7. Before blockers are declared, Cole casts a Mystical Tutor, paying for all 3 Sentinels. With the Dovescape trigger on the stack, Cole casts Dispel, targeting Mystical Tutor. Both spells are countered, and Cole creates 2 birds. He blocks Esper Sentinel and a Pilot token with the birds, and a Pilot token with the Azami. The birds, Pilot, and Esper Sentinel trade, and Craft passes the turn. Noah draws and casts By-Force, targeting all artifacts, cheapened by Hinata, paying for Aiden's Sentinel. In response, Cole taps his Felwar Stone, floating in blue. Dovescape triggers, and Noah creates 13 1/1 birds. Noah then follows it up with an Aurelia's Fury, targeting all creatures. Dovescape triggers, countering Aurelia's Fury, and Noah creates 24 more bird tokens. Noah moves to combat and attacks Aiden for 4. They take it, and with a massive board presence, Noah passes. Aiden draws, determines that they're dead next turn, and passes. At the end of Aiden's turn, Cole taps and activates Azami, drawing a card. Cole draws and casts Step Through, declining to pay for both Sentinels. Aiden and Noah both draw. Dovescape triggers, countering Step Through, and Cole creates 5 birds. Cole taps and activates Azami, drawing a card. Cole passes. Craft draws, looks at his hand, and passes. Noah draws and plays a Ranger Captain of Eos. It enters and can't search due to Stranglehold. Noah sacrifices the Ranger Captain, locking his opponents out of casting non-creature spells for the rest of the turn. He moves to combat and attacks Aiden with Hinata and 18 birds, and Craft with 19 birds. Craft blocks 2 birds, and Aiden dies. In his second main phase, and freed up from Dovescape, Noah casts a Grim Monolith. Freed up from Stranglehold, he casts Spellseeker. It enters, and Noah searches up Disorder in the Court into his hand. He casts Disorder in the Court, targeting all bird tokens but his, all pilot tokens, Dranith Magistrate, and all of his non-bird creatures. It resolves, exiling all targeted creatures, and Noah investigates 15 times, creating 15 clue tokens. At the end of Noah's turn, all creatures exiled by Disorder in the Court return to the battlefield. Spellseeker and Imperial Recruiter's ETB triggers go onto the stack. Noah fetches up a Dockside Extortionist with Recruiter and Pact of Negation with Spellseeker. The turn moves to Cole. Cole draws and activates Azami, tapping her and drawing a card. He plays an island for turn. He casts a Gilded Drake. It enters and Cole targets Hinata, exchanging control with Gilded Drake. He casts Ponder. He looks at the top 3, rearranges, and draws. He casts a Moonsilver Key. He cracks it, fetching up a Mana Crypt into his hand. He casts Mana Crypt. Cole asks for Craft to use Manamo to untap Azami to give him another draw to deal with the current board state from Noah. Craft agrees and activates Manamo, untapping Azami. Cole activates Azami, tapping her to draw. He casts a Soul Ring. He wizard cycles Vidalcan Aethermage, searching up a Triska Decaphile into his hand. Unfortunately, Cole didn't find what he needed and passes the turn. Craft draws and casts a Mystic Remora. Craft passes. Noah draws and starts his turn by casting Dockside Extortionist. It enters, and Noah creates 8 treasures. Noah moves to combat and attacks Cole with 24 bird tokens and Craft with 11 bird tokens, Spellseeker, Gilded Drake, Imperial Recruiter, and Esper Sentinel. In response, Craft channels Odawara, City in the Clouds, targeting one of the bird tokens attacking Cole. In response, Noah cracks 2 treasures to crack a clue, drawing a card. He cracks another clue, drawing a card. He does this 3 more times. Still in response, Noah casts Mystical Tutor. Mystic Remora triggers and Craft draws. In response, Cole casts Miscast, targeting Mystical Tutor. Mystic Remora triggers and Craft draws. In response, Noah cracks a clue, drawing a card. Noah casts Pact of Negation. Mystic Remora triggers and Craft draws. Pact counters Miscast and Mystical Tutor resolves. Noah fetches up a Fierce Guardianship onto the top of his library. Craft and Cole block, putting both to 1. The turn passes to Cole. At the beginning of his upkeep, Cole loses his Mana Crypt trigger, killing him. Hinata returns to Noah, and the turn passes phases to Craft. Craft draws, looks at the board state, sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the game. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to catch future videos, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.